Back to another edition of Semi-Pro Rant. I am your host, Ken Anderson. Appreciate you joining us this week on a long Labor Day weekend. Before we bring in our guest, I just have to address a couple things. My former co-host, yes, I just said former, Jamie Hankey has decided to step down this week. He wants to pursue some of his own passions. So I really do appreciate him helping me get this channel and this podcast launched. Nothing but love and appreciation for my man, Hankey. I wish him all the best in his future endeavors. And obviously, I gave him an open invite to anytime he wants to jump on here. He's more than welcome. So again, appreciate him helping us get this thing started. So for this week's guest, it's going to be a little bit of a different angle. Him and I he reached out to me on not Instagram, but was it Instagram? Yeah, it was Instagram. I'm sorry. I'm new to this whole Instagram thing, so I'm still trying to figure it out. So yeah, he reached out to me on Instagram, and he'd heard about the show through Rashad Palmer, who was on a few weeks ago out of Houston, who was our going into our strongman, going for his pro card. So this is a word of mouth. So our first word of mouth guest, my second guest that I've never met. So it'd be interesting to hear his story. Him and I did talk briefly about his story. He's got an interesting journey. So we're going to start a little bit earlier than we normally do as far as his life and how football came to be. So please welcome to the show, Mr. Cody Poston.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Welcome, buddy. We appreciate you joining us. I appreciate you reaching out and being my first Instagram dude. So it's I'm an old man, so I got to get used to this new technology stuff. So that's kind of the part I'm struggling with. So I'd mentioned you've got kind of a different story. So if you will, let's start from the early beginning and your struggles to actually get into playing football to begin with.
Yeah, man. First of all, thank you for having me on here. And so I was actually born with a congenital heart condition. Hopefully I don't butcher the term for it, but it was called like transposition of the greater arteries or something like that. So when I was a baby, they had to go in, switch my arteries around, and put them back in the right order, basically. And at first, obviously, after something like that, doctors would be like, "No contact sports, none of that,"
Right.
So, but growing up, even before I got into football, I was into motocross and kind of did that, kind of messed around on little mini bike and everything growing up. But my uncle was a high school coach here in Texas for 30 years, won 4 consecutive state championships at one school. So when he came to started coaching at the local high school from the town I was at, and he and I started to have more of a relationship,
mm-hmm.
That kind of sparked my passion for football. And I think it was the first game that he coached at that high school, it was LaPorte High School. I was hooked. So I wanted to do it. My parents said no ultimately. And, I went back and forth with them for a long time. And then, but I still stayed active. I played baseball, played church league basketball, did all that stuff. And then, I would end up still getting sick a lot of the time. I got pneumonia a bunch of times. Come to find out, after some more tests, they found out that my aorta was sitting on the lower part of my left lung.
Mm.
And if I kept getting sick, it was basically if worse came to worse, they would have had to take part of my left lung. So obviously we had to do something about that. And I think it was It was August of 2012, so right before my sophomore year of high school. They went in and did another procedure called the aortopexy. Excuse me. And basically, they took my aorta, lifted it off from where it was supposed to be. And they pinned it behind my sternum and then wired my sternum back together. And I started thinking about it. And I always knew I was a good punter, so I was a good punter and pretty decent place kicker for my age. So I was kind of like, if I'm gonna have a snowball chance of playing football, kicker is probably where it's gonna have to be at, because you don't really get hit that much as a kicker. And I just started working on that and kept going back and forth with my parents and everything. And my dad finally was like, you know what? If you're this set on playing football, write a letter to your cardiologist, like the one you go see every year, your heart surgeon, which, by the way, I don't know if you know who Michael DeBakey is. He did one of the first transplants or whatever. Well, my surgeon was actually his son-in-law, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
And then also my pulmonologist, my lung doctor. So I wrote my letters to them. And also, before I go too far forward, I was also homeschooled. See, I also grew up in a really religious family and everything. So I was going to private school for a while, and then elected to go, or my parents elected to go and put me in homeschool. And so, yeah, after that got done, sorry, I'm going to jump all over the place here. But yeah, I think it was 10th grade. I'd had the surgery. I went through rehab, did all that. And I went in for a physical at the spring of my junior year of high school and did all of the tests that they needed me to do, like EKG, run on the treadmill, all that kind of stuff. And they ended up clearing me to play.
Oh, wow.
And I was going to play actually over at nearby Deer Park High School. And so with me being homeschooled, though, our head coach was like, hey, we have to call the UIL just kind of with your situation, you being homeschooled, because I don't know how many people are familiar with what's now known as Tim Tebow bill, because, Tebow was homeschooled.
Right.
He played for his local high school in Florida. And I think to this point, like 28, 29 states have adopted it. Well, we tried to play under that here in Texas. And this was all going on while I think they were fighting for that. Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, that bill died in the state Senate, so it didn't work out. The head coach had called the UIL to see if I can even be like a scout team kicker / scout team quarterback, because we were a big 5A, 6A school, so we had plenty of room for scout team guys and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. UIL came back and said, no, he's going to have to sit out. He can still be there, be in meetings and everything, be at practice, be in meetings, be there in the games. He just can't suit up. But like I said, he can still be there in case there is a reversal. He's ready to go. So right. That was the route we took. And but when we made the decision, I was going to go, after I graduated high school, I was going to stay and go to the local community college. I actually reached back out to him and told him, hey, I'm pretty sure at some point after I get done with college, I want to teach and coach. Mm-hmm. Would it be okay if I kind of intern or do like an unpaid internship? Came back, did that, helped out the wide receivers. And that was around the time I started getting into semi-pro.
Okay.
So
yeah. So before we jump into semi-pro, let's just kind of talk a little bit about the journey. So, so we're 2 heart surgeries in. You're a junior, right? Two surgeries in, haven't been cleared yet, but you were cleared by your senior year?
Correct.
So the Tim Tebow rule or something similar came into effect, so you were able to play?
No, so they were fighting for that, like Texas Homeschool Coalition or whatever it's called.
Okay.
They were fighting to get that bill passed.
Gotcha.
And I was and I was in the middle of working out and everything, trying to trying to get my stuff straight so that way when it got cleared or whatever, then I was going to be ready to go. Well, ultimately, it got kind of like died in the state senate or however that whole government process works.
Right.
I'm not as familiar with the legal system as I should be on that kind of
Neither am
stuff.
I. I'm a jock. I don't know that stuff.
But yeah, it ended up dying and stuff. But the UIL had said, hey, he can still be in meetings, he can still be at practice and everything.
Okay.
Still be working out that way in case there is a reversal of some sort. Then he's ready to go.
So did you ever play as a senior?
No, sir.
No. So you just prepped, got yourself ready. So that was the first year you possibly could have played after all the surgeries.
Absolutely.
And it just didn't happen. So
Right.
you graduate from homeschooling or go into community college. Did you play any ball? You said you're playing baseball and did you do any football in community college? Any JUCO, anything like that?
So our JUCO doesn't have a football team. In fact, we don't even have any sports there anymore. Well, I take that back. So when I started out there are 3 campuses. It's San Jacinto Community College, which it's had quite a few pro baseball players and some basketball players there.
Okay.
But like North Campus had baseball and girls basketball. Central, when I started going there, had girls volleyball, men's basketball, and then South had men's soccer and girls softball. Middle of my time there, they made it to where just North had baseball, South had softball, and that was all the sports. San Jack had tried on multiple occasions to have football, and it never worked out. So that's why I actually ended up pursuing the semi-pro route when I was in junior college.
Okay. So how did you hear about semi-pro?
And honestly, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was another kind of word of mouth type thing.
Yep.
I think a friend of a friend was playing. I found out something about it on Facebook, so I just started Googling away. And I knew my grandpa had actually played semi-pro back in the 60s. And I think it was a different scene back then, I guess, than it is now, especially here in Texas.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about that. I was like, man, if I'm going to play, this might be my only shot right here. So
okay.
I got to find somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I mean, the advantage you guys have now, and I'm an old man, so, I started in 93. There was no internet yet in 93. Right. So I kind of stumbled on it because a guy at work said, hey, you played football in high school and a little college. Syracuse is looking for players. And it was posted in the newspaper. So the fact you guys have a lot more access to it to run into it, whether you stumble on it on YouTube, whether you stumble on it because you got friends that have played it, or whether, you're even if you're on IG and something happens, there's a lot more opportunity to stumble onto things. So I think that's why semi-pros changed so much over the years. It's just now there's a lot more people in the know. And it's not as black market or underground as it was when I started. Right. So, so it's cool that you finally said, basically, I'm gonna say it. You said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna play one way or another." I've dedicated,
Basically.
I've been training for at least a year. When you said you were training to try to play high school if they would let you. So you've been training. So when you signed up for the team, first of all, what was the first team you played for?
They were the Texas Mustangs. They were actually in the Woodlands, Texas, like north side of Houston.
Okay. So you're playing for you said the Mustangs, right?
Correct.
So you're playing for the Mustangs. And did you walk on as a punter / place kicker?
No, punter, yes. Place kicker, no. I knew I had gotten past her, so I actually tried out as a receiver.
Okay.
Slot receiver. And I knew I needed to get a little bit bigger because coming into that, I was only 5'10", 100, barely 160.
Okay.
So needed to get faster, bigger, and all that stuff. But yeah, I went through training camp with them. And also bear in mind at this time, I didn't have my license. So I was having to get rides from my buddies all the way up to the north side of Houston when I'm living on the southeast. And I'm not sure how familiar you are with Houston, but it's huge.
Yeah.
So I was going, man, we were going an hour plus each way to and from practice.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I ended up playing one preseason game with him. My buddy that I was riding with, he ended up having to drop out of the team because he ended up joining the service, and so I didn't have a ride there. But I don't fault him for that. He had to do what he felt was best for him and his family. So
Yeah, absolutely.
kudos to him.
For sure.
So I ended up missing some practices, and as a result, they ended up releasing me. Which, hey, it is what it is.
Right.
I'm very thankful to the head coach, Bernard Roundtree, for giving me the opportunity to come out there and play, especially, getting my first shot of legitimately playing football.
Right. Getting your feet wet. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I played for a team about more than half my career that was over an hour away. So I definitely get what it takes to drive an hour. I mean, you're working 8-10-hour days, right? And then you're like, damn, I got to drive an hour to practice. And then you got to sweat your balls off for 2 or 3 hours, and you got to drive an hour home, and it just makes for long days. But so the dedication to at least consider that in the beginning, and it sounds like you would have kept on going if your friend hadn't joined the service, and
Oh, absolutely.
we thank him for his service, of course.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing I've said. I was interviewed by a Syracuse newspaper one time, and they had asked, what happens to these players, and I tell them, well, basically life happens,
Right.
And so for him it was life happened. So it happens to everybody. I've seen players like yourself that last a month because life happens. I've seen players that are still doing it 20 years later, and they just happen to have where their life hasn't come calling yet to where they've had to pull away, or their age hasn't come calling. So, all right.
Right.
So far your story's rough, right? You're trying to play the sport that you love. And, at that point, I mean, I've been playing football since I can remember. So,
right.
So I remember playing in the yard with my older brother when I was, I don't know, I maybe was 5 or 6, and we started playing. So, so for someone like, and I don't think if I would have started later that I would have kept the drive to keep playing. And I love this sport. It's been a part of who I am. It is part of what I am. So I don't know if I could have stayed dedicated to something that was always just out of my reach for so many years. I mean, we're talking teens of years. I mean, we're talking 15, 17, 18 years that it's something you wanted to play, and it's kind of out of your reach. So
Right.
season 1, unfortunately, goes down the drains. What happened? How did you the very next year you get back on the horse and try to find a team a little bit closer? What year 2 look like?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I tried to find something a little bit closer. Didn't really find any luck with that. At least, I mean, there were some teams that were closer. And I'm not trying to sit here and crap on anybody, but it's just there wasn't anybody that I heard was really good that was close by. And I wanted to obviously I wanted to play, but also I wanted to put myself in a good position where I was going to be able to play with a good quarterback, because at this point I've really made the transition over to receiver.
Okay.
And I mean, receiver was what I really wanted to play all along. It was just I had to do the kicker and trying to do this kicker and scout team quarterback deal to at least get my foot in the door and get cleared. And I eventually went and talked to my doctor about me playing receiver, and he's like, just limit how many times you go over the middle. I'm like, no promises, but I'll try.
Coach, no digs. Coach, no digs. All right, we're not running that dig anymore. So listen.
It's funny. That's actually my favorite route to run.
Yeah, is it the dig? Listen, it takes balls to run that route for sure. It takes balls to run that route.
I've got whacked on a few of them, and it doesn't feel great when it happens, but it kind of feels good when you get whacked and you know you're able to hold on to it.
Yeah, that feels awesome, right? We've all been there. If you've ever you ever played longer than a few months, you've probably had the dig called, and you've probably been railed by a safety, right? So,
Yep.
so it's just
Absolutely.
it's just part of the way the game's played. So it is a great route. Especially
Absolutely.
if you can combo off it, you can make it very wide open.
Oh yeah.
At least put a window that's nice and wide open, and then then
Well,
hopefully give you
it's
time
that
to
you can
look for
bring
the safety.
right, and you can bring the safety down and open up for a post on the outside. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's awesome. So let me ask you this: so we get into you're working your way towards season 2. Who did you train with to learn the position? Since you're years behind learning the game, even though you
right.
had an uncle in the business. Did he spend time with you? Did you hang out at his
Um,
practices?
so growing up a little bit, yes. Unfortunately, my senior year he passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Unexpectedly. It's everyone has their everyone has their time. It was very rough to lose him because that was my role model. He was the reason I got in,
Mm.
wanted to get into coaching when that time comes. So we definitely did work out at that stuff when I was younger, and I was asked him like, "Hey, if you were to come out of retirement, because after that last school he coached at, unfortunately he was let go and he ended up retiring after that." And I asked him like, "Hey, if you were to come out of retirement and coach me, where would you put me?" And he told me receiver. And I'm like, okay, that's where I need to work. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, this guy coached for 30 years, won some state championships. This guy knows what he's
For sure.
talking about. So that's what I put most of my time in conjunction of like punting and place kicking and whatnot. But it was him. There was another guy. He's actually a quarterback trainer. His name is Jermaine Alfred. He played at Baylor mid to late '90s, and I actually just kind of came across him almost by accident. To be honest with you, I was working out at a local high school, just kicking field goals and everything, and they were just. He had his quarterbacks. One of them is actually Jalen Hurts,
Okay. Yeah.
and so I actually got to meet Jalen when we were in high school through Jermaine.
Very cool.
And so they were just kind of throwing at nets, or they had a few quarterbacks out there, so some of the dads were out there catching for them. And I went over to the coach. I'm like, "Hey, y'all need somebody to step in and catch?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, if you want to jump in." And I did that. And so after that, me and Jermaine exchanged numbers. I think that was my senior year. And I've been going out there and catching for his quarterbacks and getting some work from him ever since then.
Listen, man, as a young man, you had a set of balls on you. Not a lot of people, not a lot of people are going to go up to a bunch of strangers and say, "Can I catch some balls?"
Yeah.
Not a lot of younger dudes are going to do that.
I,
So you
I
got
mean,
this
I've always
crazy
been
drive for the game.
absolutely. I mean, I've always been fairly outgoing, at least. So
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't honestly. It didn't really take too much for me to go up and do that. I was in the later part of that kicking session, anyways. And as much as it kind of helped to put that work in, I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little bit bored with just sitting there kicking field goals through the goalposts,
Oh, sure.
going back, setting them on the stick, and having to kick them again. So I was like, I'll go see if they need some help. And they, yeah, sure. So,
Awesome. Well, that's, it's cool that they allowed you to join them too. So that's awesome.
really.
So you're obviously showing a desire to play a sport one way or another. You've had more obstacles than most people would ever try to overcome, and here you are. What are you, late teens, almost 20 at this point?
Um,
At that when we're talking about playing catch.
I was. See, I was 17 or 18 at that
17 or
point.
18. Okay, so
I'm
that's
24 now, so yeah.
okay. So you're 24 now. Okay, so like I said, that's a set of balls on you. So you got to pat yourself on the back for that one. Not a lot of dudes would do that. Number one, be as persistent, and as much desire for the game, and number two, to go up to strangers and ask if you could help them out and play some catch or whatnot, run routes with them. So that's great. So bring us into so season 2. Where are we at with season 2? You said you were hunting for a team, and
Right.
there's teams local that really didn't fit your fancy. And I definitely appreciate the fact that you said you want to play with a team that had a quarterback. Most guys, I wouldn't say most guys, but I would assume most guys, when they first start, especially guys who've never played before, they're probably a little intimidated and would rather play for maybe a startup team or a team that it doesn't have a really great record, so they have an opportunity to actually run on the field. So your mindset was completely different. You're like, fuck that. I want to get a quarterback that's actually going to get me the rock.
Well, it's funny. The Mustangs actually were startup, but they were actually a branch off of a couple other teams,
which most are these days. Yeah.
Which so they're the head coach, Bernard Roundtree. I can't remember if he was a head coach or the offensive coordinator for the Texas Colts, which I think is where Rashad's playing now.
Yep, he said he's going to play for the Colts. Yep.
Right. So him and a couple other guys ended up branching off from there, starting the Mustangs, and so I like how they also kept the horse thing going. That was kind of funny.
Right.
But just change the colors and logo up a little bit. But yeah, so they did that, and I ended up getting waived or released by them, however you want to put it. And so kind of talked to a couple of teams, just didn't really work out. I think I went out to one practice with one team, and it was just too far, and just the overall situation with some stuff going on at home with me being in college, and we also had another family medical situation where we just kind of felt like, hey, it's best I just go ahead and wait at least a few months before I go out there and play and risk two people in the household being laid up. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to a couple months later, I ended up joining the Texas Raiders, which were actually in the GDFL, which is Gridiron Development Football League, and they're a national semi-pro.
Yeah, that's a huge league. Actually, a team that up here or up in Syracuse, they just joined the GDFL too. But obviously it's shut down due to COVID, but they just joined it too.
Right. So
they've got like 50 teams in the league starting this year now.
Oh wow. I didn't realize there was that many. So we're only able to play like division games.
Yeah.
So we played a team from Oklahoma twice, and they absolutely railed us both times. Played a team from Alabama. Didn't go as great. And then we played a team from Joplin. We played them twice, one here in Houston and one up there in Joplin. And both times we narrowly escaped the win. And then we played. We were supposed to play Memphis, but some stuff happened with scheduling, and that whole situation was a whole mess. That's a whole can of worms that I'm not even going to open, because there was a lot of he said, she said that with what went down, and some stuff about forcing one team to forfeit or whatever. So it's a long story. I don't have all the facts on it, so I'm not going to sit here and speak and start a bunch of crap about it.
Right. Well, that's semi-pro, man. That's a tough. I mean, I've gone to games where we've traveled a few hours,
right,
and then the other team doesn't show. The home team doesn't show.
Oh man.
I mean, so semi-pro can be shitty like that, man. Or even the morning of, you're boarding the bus. One of the teams played for had a bus. You're boarding the bus and you get a phone call. Yeah, we're not going to have a game.
Yeah.
Or kickoffs at 7, and all of a sudden you're the home team, and all of a sudden you get a call at 5:30. Yeah, we're not going to make it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more in football that pisses me off more than that. So just so our main in-state semi-pro league, which is TUFA, they had to shut down obviously because of COVID. But there's, I think, like 10 teams in the league, in this other league called the Big South Football League. They're all in Texas, and that was a league that kind of formed for the summer. And like I said, it's 10 teams. They actually just had the playoffs this weekend, first round. And it was a bunch of teams out of TUFA that joined that, and they're all playing neutral site games. Mm-hmm. And there were multiple occasions. I didn't play this summer, but I kind of watched from afar what was going on with all that. And there were multiple teams multiple games where that would have happened. There was something also about the refs not even showing up, and it's just like, really?
we've had games where a ref or two didn't show up, and you're playing with
Yep.
short refs and
This one, none of the crew showed up.
Yeah, that's
at
brutal.
all.
I don't think I experienced that one, but that's brutal. I've had them late, real late. I've had them one or two not make it, but not the whole crew. So that's kind of brutal. So that first year, you said it was the Mustangs, right? That
Right.
you play. Did you get any burn that year?
I'm sorry?
Did you get any playing time that year?
Well, the Mustangs, that was only a training camp. It was a preseason game that I was with before I ended up getting released. Only got in for a few plays. I got a lot of reps during practice and everything.
Okay.
But that one game, I kind of, I guess you want to call it a mop-up role
Gotcha.
or whatever. Towards the end of the game, got in there. But with the with the Raiders, I got quite a bit more game action until third game. I think it was. I had a concussion, and that kind of messed things up for
me. And then there we go again with another obstacle. So,
yep.
Okay, so now,
well, so it was actually I played sparingly the rest of the game. I knew my head was hurting, but I didn't know it was a concussion. So I played the rest of the game and woke up the next day feeling like crap.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I told my coaches, like, I think I've got a concussion. And they're like, yeah, we have bye week, so rest up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've all been there. Dude, I played when they just said, put your helmet back on, get back in there. You know?
Yep.
So,
well, other team's doctor came over to check me out. Yeah, I got laid out going to cover a punt, and a dude came up and popped me when I wasn't looking, and it got my shoulder a little bit too. Just the way I landed was kind of awkward, and I knew if I said anything about my head or neck, they were gonna freak out and want to take me to the hospital or pull me out of the game. I'm like, shoulder stinger, leave me alone. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
And playing the rest of the game, which hindsight wasn't the best decision, but we were short on guys, so I was like, I got to figure out a way to stay in this game.
Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm. Well, again, that's part of the concern with concussions is that the player, no matter what level, doesn't admit that he's got his bell rung, right? So
absolutely.
Absolutely. We've all done it. We've all done, multiple times. We've probably done it. So it's you can see the concern with concussions and whatnot. So let's get into some playing days. So the Raiders, you got some burn. What's the next team you played for? Did you stay with the Raiders a couple seasons, or where are we at there?
No, so that was actually last summer.
That was last summer. Okay.
And, right. So there was also some in-house stuff going on that I don't have all the facts on, so I'm not going to really comment much on it, but ultimately they ended up folding. And and that was a summer league team. A lot of semi-pro, like in-state here in Texas, they play regular season February to into April, early May, something like that.
Okay.
So there's some in-house stuff going on. They shut down. So I decided I was going to go back and try and play in like the in-state semi-pro league.
Mm-hmm. So
I ended up reaching out to Tomball. By this point, I already had my ride situation straight and everything like that. In fact, I already did that between the time I was with the Mustangs and when I was with the Raiders. So I got in touch with the Tomball Bobcats, and they're like, hey, we're actually going to have like an evaluation day. We're not going to really call it a tryout because we're not going to cut anybody off this one day. We're going to go through camp and see how it goes.
Right.
And man, I was having a pretty good camp. Like I was probably playing the best I ever played. I'd gotten bigger. Like I said, I was barely 160 when I played with the Mustangs, and going in with the Bobcats, I was up to about 185, 190. So I put on 30 pounds since then.
Nice.
And I was actually running faster. So yeah, I was having a good camp and everything, and then first preseason game, they had me playing more special teams than they did on offense, which I was totally fine with. I like playing special teams and running down, covering kicks, and doing a lot of stuff even more than I like playing receiver, as much as I like playing receiver.
So you're a lunatic.
A little bit. A little bit.
Most guys are like, fuck that, coach. I don't want to play special teams.
Well, the thing that really got me going on special teams, I don't know if you've seen the Mark Wahlberg movie Invincible.
Yep.
Vince Papali. I was like, man, this guy's freaking awesome. That's a dude that I kind of resonated with because he was going to do whatever it took to make the team and help his team try to win a ball game. Because if we're being honest, going back in the history books, for anybody from Philly that might hear this, I'm sorry, but Eagles kind of sucked in that time. So
I'm a Cowboys fan. They still suck.
Oh man.
Just kidding, all you Philly guys out there. They've come a long way, no doubt.
Yeah. So yeah, Vince was one of those guys that really brought a spark to that. I was like, if I'm going to make a team, I'm still not the fastest guy. I may not be the best receiver, so I need to figure out another way to get even more playing time. And special teams was it. I'd also play a little bit. While I was with the Raiders, I would go in and play a little safety here and there when they needed it, but I was never really good DB. So I was like, special teams and slot receiver, that's where I need to focus my time and energy on. And but yeah, I was playing special teams as well a lot. And first preseason game, another injury, I ended up breaking my collarbone. And so I was front line on kickoff return, missed my guy. I'm like, well, crap, I'm not going to get blocked in the back, so I'm just going to go try and double team and help somebody else out. And as soon as I turned around, I got caught on my heels. Dude laid me out. And it was a big hit, but it wasn't the biggest hit I'd ever had. But it was the way I landed. I just landed awkward on my shoulder, and I just heard that snap. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man.
That is so good.
Yeah, it wasn't as painful, but I knew it was as painful as some people make it out to be. It may just be that I have a high pain tolerance or whatever. But I just knew something was broken there. I'm like, I'm just staying here.
Right. So listen, man, you've had a hell of a long road to play this sport that I can only say that you absolutely love. So what keeps driving you to want to play sport? I mean, you've had 2 heart surgeries at this point. You've had concussions. You've had broken collarbone. You've had buddies that had to bail on you for your transportation. You've had teams that have shut down on you. You've had
Well, I actually, on the shutdown thing, just to kind of clear that up, because I didn't want having misinterpretation on that. I had actually heard of what was going down, and before they shut down, I ended up deciding to part ways with them.
Okay.
It's not a slam on anybody. It's just want to make sure.
Listen, that's semi-pro ball, man. I had to shut my team down. I got a promotion at work. We finished that year, and I had to shut my team down. I mean, it happens. So, it's no ill will towards anybody. It's just, but seriously, dude, what the hell keeps you wanting? I can't say, as much as I love the game and as much as it's done for me, I don't know that if I would have been through some serious injuries, but collarbone, concussions, like I said, we've all had those, but between 2 heart surgeries as a kid and then breaking a collarbone, I mean, just what the hell makes you want to still play?
I don't know. I guess I'm still a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. Like I said before, I was playing football, I was riding dirt bikes and stuff. So, so I guess there's a little bit of that adrenaline factor to it. Also with football and baseball, that's what kind of kept me off my butt, off the couch and stuff. Like if I didn't have that, I'd just be sitting around eating potato chips all day. So, so I needed something to work towards and work out towards. Like if I wasn't doing, like I said, if I wasn't playing football or baseball, I wouldn't be hitting the weights. I wouldn't be going out and running around the neighborhood. I wouldn't be doing any of that because honestly, that kind of stuff I don't really enjoy, but I love playing football and everything. So some of the process for me that kind of sucks, it makes it worthwhile to stay healthy and do that. So I guess it's that, and then any other crap I got going on throughout the week. If I get pissed off about something, it kind of feels good to take out there in the field and knock somebody around as well.
Oh, that's for damn
So,
sure.
absolutely.
Especially in today's world, man. You probably wish you could
Absolutely.
lay some people out all the time. So listen, what are you? So we're working out, trying to get ready for this season, whatever it unfolds here.
Right.
Do we know when that your team? Did you say you're going to the Colts?
No,
you
I'm
said the other
actually
team
not.
spawned from the Colts. What team are you going to try to play for this year?
So there's a new startup team that actually my defensive coordinator from the Raiders, he's now the DC for this new team. They're called the 713 Cardinals. And for anybody that doesn't know, 713 is like the area code here in Houston, or one of the main area codes. So we're actually practicing in a small town called smallish town called Pearland, which is kind of a suburb of Houston. And so I actually just had my first practice with them, and still getting the feel for it, trying to learn the offense and everything. But man, we got some dudes over there. I'm not gonna lie, we got some athletes. So I feel like once we get everybody out there showing up more, and not everyone's gonna show up because they at work or
For sure. Or they're
some of these
lazy.
stuff.
Sometimes they get lazy.
Sometimes, some of them they gotta.
Let's not make excuses for everybody. We know.
Right,
listen, I've coached a long time and played a long time. I know some of y'all just don't want to make practice.
Right, and some of these guys, their fathers, and it's their weekend to have their kid, which
absolutely.
Hey, they gotta do what they gotta do.
Totally get that stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, yeah.
So, what's your personal goals for the season? Have you laid any out of what you're looking to achieve this year?
On the field or off the field? Which one? Let's start with
on the field.
On the field, really. I mean, my biggest goal as a receiver, probably about 35, 40 catches this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got me playing more in the slot, but I told them, hey, if you want to move me running back safety or whatever, I'll do it. So about 35, 40 catches on the year. And hey, if I can get maybe anywhere from 300 to 500 yards on the year and get a few touchdowns, that'd be great. But overall, I mean, as good as the individual stats may seem, for me, it's all about helping the team win. Mm-hmm. That's like if I'm just going out there and running off DB and it opens up a lane to score a touchdown for our guys and we end up winning, I'm fine with that. I'd rather take that than have 6 catches for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and us lose.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Good. Well, it's good to hear that, you're unselfish and willing to, do what it takes to help the team win. So that's awesome. So what's some of your off the field goals for 2021? If the world doesn't end before then.
That's a big question mark right there.
Right.
Honestly, I mean, for actual not in between the lines, it's just be more aggressive on the weights and everything. Just work hard. I'm still in college, so I got to be continuing to work towards my degree. I'm studying to be a history teacher and a high school coach. Once that time comes, I get certified. So probably around the time I get certified to teach and coach is probably when I'll hang it up as a player. But I don't know. After I broke my collarbone, I was telling everybody I'm done and everything. And then, once the season started, I started realizing how much I missed it. And I was like, man, I gotta find a way to get back on the field. So, at this point, God only knows when I'm actually gonna hang it up for sure.
Right. Well, that's a battle you'll have as long as until you decide. I mean, I hung them up at 38 and I still had that conversation with myself. So, you just have it. You just keep having the conversation, have the conversation. So, first of all, I hope you stay healthy for the season.
Thank you.
We want to, get you through your first season here and experience the whole season and be healthy.
Right.
Hopefully, we can get an update from you next year after the season's over and you get your 40 catches and your 600-700 yards and have a hell of a season. So, so off the field, you had mentioned to me offline that you coach a little bit, both baseball and football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming those are youth leagues.
Yeah. So I'm coaching for the LaPorte Texans Little League team or youth football team. I'm coaching the 3rd and 4th grade team, or we call it the sophomore team, because the league that we they do like Pee Wee, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm coaching the sophomore team. And then baseball this past spring, we fought through the whole COVID situation. We had a bunch of players drop out. Excuse me. We had, like I said, some players dropped out. We actually had to borrow kids off of other teams to get through a game until the league finally shut us down. But we were a little bit older. It was like 12 through 14. So basically 6th through 8th grade kids. And so there was some stuff going on in the league that, I played in this league when I was a kid. And unfortunately, I'm not going to throw out the names. I'm not going to start a bunch of drama on it, but it was a pony-aged league, and just some stuff was going down with the board that it's fallen downhill from when I played.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. So I've already decided until I start coaching high school baseball, if I coach baseball again, I'm just going to do select league, like tournament ball. I've already told a bunch of kids and talked to their parents and like, hey, I'm looking to do a select team. And if y'all want to come over and play on this team, y'all got first shot and whatever I can't get out of these current kids' parents to get them to come over and play, I'll just hold tryouts in there. But so that's also going to be running in the spring. So I'm going to try and see what opening time I have between playing semi-pro ball, school, whatever I'm going to be doing working, because I'm also substitute teaching right now as well. So until I get my degree.
Sounds like you like to keep yourself busy.
I try to.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. You got to keep it moving, right? Until you can't move no more. That's just kind of how it is. So awesome. So listen, again, we talked off air, and first of all, great story, great determination, great drive. I look forward to us conversing in the future and seeing seeing the success of the season, where it goes, and also your baseball exploits too with the youth league you want to get going, the youth team. So we mentioned offline that you have a YouTube channel. All right, you're my first YouTuber that's joined the show. So we got a couple firsts here today. So how do they find you? I'll link it down here in the show so that they can go over and subscribe to your channel.
It's just my name, Cody Poston. And there's nothing really too fancy about it. Like, I'm doing this Zoom meeting on my iPhone. I'm actually doing all my stuff through an iPhone camera. So in the future, I'm going to start trying to do like game day, practice day vlogs and everything.
Yep.
I've done some equipment reviews. Like, I'm a big Nike fanatic. So when Nike dropped their new skill cleats and everything, I went out and got some of those and reviewed them and all that stuff. So kind of got to talk about that, and done a couple of life updates, I guess you can call them, on what I've done while playing semi-pro. So, I try to keep it pretty simple on there. I don't really do anything real fancy. I eventually want to get a little bit better content on there and get a little bit better with video editing and whatnot, but it's not, I'm trying to put more stuff up there, but it's not the first thing I'm trying to do right now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, just keep posting your journey, your semi-pro journey. There's thousands of players across the country. I don't know if you know how big semi-pro ball is.
I've seen the growth on it for sure.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy, right? If you would have told me when I was playing at 20 years old that there were thousands of teams across the country, I'd tell you you're out of your mind. But there's thousands of teams, which means there's hundreds of thousands of players, which means there's how many hundreds of thousands that don't play anymore that still love the game and still want to hear stuff on it. So post away, man. And, I appreciate if, our followers go over to Cody's page and, or his channel and, hit the old subscribe button and let the man, share his journey with us. And like I said, I'll invite you back on in the near future, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out of your Sunday. I know it's a long Labor Day weekend for everybody, so I hope you have some fun stuff planned for the weekend, and I really appreciate you joining us.
Well, thank you for having me on, Ken. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, buddy. Best of luck to you. We'll see you in the future. See ya.